audience on Wackadoodle Wonderful Wednesday.
Wackadoodle is the word. And every day is wackadoodle, actually, but it's hump day, right?
It is hump day, and things you just can't make this stuff up.
Nope, you can't.
Is we might have some kerfuffles. We'll see what happens with the internet. I'm having issues where I am, and that's just the way it goes. Sometimes it's smooth sailing, and other times you hit choppy waters.
Yeah. Well, we just have to remember.
So, but I am in Southern California visiting family. I'm enjoying that, but the Wi-Fi is a little sketchy. So I hope we get through it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot. And Don, how are you doing?
Doing fantastic. All's well. All's well here. So, yes. Glad to be here.
All right, all right. Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about is there Solomon Yu, our Oregon Republican Party national committeeman, is being recalled, and I know that through captive audience, there's many that we've talked about it and everything. But what I want to, and I'm pasting a video that a former officer of the Oregon Republican Party is doing, Ken Taylor. And I'll tell you, Ken Taylor, this video, it's just 15 minutes. And I think everybody ought to listen to it. He was there in the room. He was there when the actual, I'm going to call it original of Solomon Yu that happened within the Oregon Republican Party. And frankly, what I have seen in the past, it's accusations. I have not seen any evidence of anything that Solomon Yu has done, but accusations. And as Ken Taylor says so rightly, accusations are free, but show me the receipts. And, you need to have evidence to recall somebody. And I think that's a very well worth listening to 15, 16 minutes from Ken Taylor regarding Solomon Yu and his experience. And Ken Taylor was well respected within the Oregon Republican Party. He served for quite a bit as our treasurer, and was in leadership and also as a chair. I think it was from Lane County, if I'm not mistaken. And but I watched that actually this morning and went, wow, this is something that we need to share and let people hear for themselves, because to me, I think it's important, and I really, what's happening to Solomon, I don't think is right. And people also, in what I've read, I think many people don't even understand what a national committeeman does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, they're representing Oregon at the Republican National Convention, the RNC. And they go, well, that's how come we haven't won a governorship, because he's been the national committeeman for almost 30 years. Oh, no. You know what? That's the voters. Hello. Right. So who gets the final decision on Solomon, Lori's asking. Well, June 9th and 10th, I think it's 9th and 10th, is a meeting, and it is the voters there. It takes 3/4 of the Oregon State Republican Party State Central Committee will have a vote on that, and it's a high bar of being 3/4 of that body in order to vote. So the delegates that are the people that are delegates, I'm one, being the chair of Umatilla County Republican Party, and I can guarantee you I'm a no vote. So I've seen these accusations before many years ago when I was brand new into the party. And frankly, I had a conversation with Solomon. I'm a person that goes to the source, and goes to the horse. I want to talk to you and hear your side. And I was looking for evidence, and I never found any. So anyway, is input from the outside available? I don't know what you mean. No, not well. I don't know. This is a new administration, so who knows what they're going to allow on that. But I wanted you guys to be able to see this video and from Ken Taylor and draw your own conclusions. And for those that think this is a good idea, I think you should get on social media, get on Twitter. Solomon's on Twitter and say, hey, you know what? I want to talk to you. Because I guarantee you, he's a guy who will talk to you. So I think that's something that's really important. Another thing I wanted to bring up is there is a Lane County resolution, and it is against Republican Representative Charlie Conrad, who is from Lane County. He's representing Lane County. And I very much respect John Large. He is the chair of Lane County Republican Party. And this is a resolution from the Lane County Republicans against Representative Charlie Conrad from the 12th District, East Lane County. And they, because he voted yes on House Bill 2002B, which allows for, I'm going to read this to you. A minor to receive irreversible sex change treatments and procedures without parental knowledge and consent. A minor to have their parents' insurance cover such treatment and procedures without parental knowledge and consent. Requirement of insurance plans to cover irreversible sex change treatments. Requirement of insurance plans to cover sex-changing cosmetic procedures and surgery. Decriminalizing the concealing of the dead body of a newborn baby. Decriminalizing the concealing of the dead body of a newborn baby. I had to read that twice. A child of any age to receive an abortion without parental knowledge and consent. A doctor to hide information from a child's parent regarding an abortion. Requirement of organ taxpayers to pay for abortions and sex change procedures for out-of-state persons. Requirement of universities and colleges to provide medical abortions paid for by organ taxpayers. Changing the language from terminate pregnancy to exercise reproductive health right. So this resolution, and whereas Representative Conrad received volunteer support from the Lane County Republican Party, as well as the Oregon Republican Party, and whereas Representative Conrad's recent approving vote of House Bill 2002B does not align with our stated values. Therefore, it is resolved the Lane County Republican Party withdraws all current and future support for Representative Charlie Conrad. Therefore, Lane County Republican Party requests that Representative Charlie Conrad resign his position as Lane County representative to the Oregon House of Representatives, signed by John Large, chair of Lane County Republican Party. And I say kudos to John Large and the Lane County Republicans, because when a representative is clearly not representing the Republican values, but they're running on the Republican brand, you know what? That's not right. He's in his first term representative, and here he's the one who's voted this. So he's the one Republican that voted with the Democrats on this bill, which is why the senators are walking out. So you see, this leads to why the senators are walking out. They have one Republican to help pass this bill, and he was the guy to do it. And it's a damn shame, because that is not, yes, you can recall a representative, and Bobby, and he's obviously, as Lori says, not a Republican. I couldn't agree with you more. So, you know, these things lead to both of these topics lead to more things that we talk about here on Captive Audience, and why we are in our, and right now I might be frozen, but I hope you can hear me. My internet just a little sketchy. That's the way it's
Oh,
gone.
you're back. You're back. Well, if I might say, it's as appalling as it is for Republican, really for did that receive unanimous support? The Democratic Party, by the way, you know, um,
Yes,
it's
yes.
yeah, and while it's not
To my
surprising,
knowledge, it did. I should
it's
say
just
that. To my knowledge, it did.
it's just so disgusting that any human being would support something like that. And I really don't have anything else to say. Um, when people say that the party's gone satanic, it's stuff like that that makes you think that. I don't know how you argue with them.
Right. Well, Oregon is the testing ground for the radical, and it's the testing ground for communism and socialism. We have the communist Democrats, or whatever they're called here in Oregon, and this just is part of, in my opinion, that's part of this agenda,
Sure.
and it is not right. Parents are the ones that have authority over their children.
Well, the first
They
attack,
are their children.
the
It is
first
not the
attack, yeah.
government.
Mhm. The first attacks of Marxists is to destroy the family, though. I mean, that's number one.
Yeah.
The government is the family, and the government owns the children, and you'll see that as a running theme through pretty much everything that they promote on that side of the aisle. Um, it's a shame, but that's where we are. I mean, the good news is that now we know black and white who they are. I mean, they're not hiding like they've been doing for the last 30 years. They're telling you exactly who they are.
Yeah, I agree. And that is the nice part, is now we can see, right? You see exactly, and if people are willing to open their eyes and look at alternative news, because if you're watching mainstream media, you are not seeing necessarily, they paint a quite different picture, don't you know, Don?
No, they just lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how do you lie about this? The next story that I just posted is Portland is one of the fastest shrinking US cities.
Well, how you
And
lie, Sonny? They just don't cover it.
that's it. It's lie by omission, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and so the data shows Portland lost over 8,000 people from July of 21 to July of 22.
yeah.
They are the lost the sixth most people in the US in this past year. Portland,
Wow.
the sixth most people in the US. And it all started with the defund the police in 2020.
Sure. Yeah. We look at it and remember, Portland's not a huge city. I think the metropolitan area is ranked 30th in the United States. So that means it lost more people, as a gross number than places like Chicago, Los
It's
Angeles,
not
San Francisco, all places that are a lot bigger. That's pretty amazing achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. And I've got another story here I'm going to post up, that the Senate has our Senate is boycotting and it's giving minorities a voice, because our senators are shutting down essentially our legislation, the Senate. And I'm very proud that my own senator is a part of this, to shut down this very bill that Conrad voted for.
Yeah.
That's why they're doing this. And, so in this story that is out of the Oregon Live, it says here, the Constitution of the United States gives the people the Bill of Rights. The first of those is the right to free speech, religion, and assembly. And these rights allow us to speak and act friendly when we disagree, and act freely, excuse me,
Mhm.
when we disagree with our government. And Senate Minority Leader Tim Knopp and company are doing just that. They are
Mhm.
exercising their First Amendment rights, as well as protecting those rights for those of us in the political minority who have no voice in the Oregon political system.
Mhm. Well,
So, our founding fathers believed in compromise. If only the majority political party in Oregon did, we wouldn't be where we are today. So, thank you, Senator Knopp and company. Without you, we rural Oregonians have no voice in Oregon politics. This story very much surprised me, is actually out of the Oregonian.
that's pretty amazing.
It's a letter to the editor in the Oregonian. And I went, you know what? We have to read this because the Oregonian is so far left.
Yeah,
We don't get much. So thank you to write from Deborah Watson out of Grants Pass. Thank you very much.
you have a hard time seeing where, and I'm not a constitutional lawyer by any means, but how can it be legal to not tell parents and make their insurance cover a procedure for a minor without the parents' knowledge? I'm just having a hard time seeing where something like that would hold up, in court. Of course, by the time that gets through the judicial process, how many people have they ruined by then? But I just don't see where that would be constitutional.
Well, you know what? I was talking with someone today, and they said that in Sweden, they use of transitional surgery and puberty blockers in children, but they've now
Mhm.
stopped doing all of that because they see the ramifications and what is happening to these young children. And
Mhm.
so much so, in fact, I what I was told, I don't know this, was that their spines are not fusing correctly. These puberty blockers have is a whole nother, it's one thing to have surgery, right? But then you have the puberty blockers in there, and
Mhm.
the ramifications, I think, are going to be horrific
Well,
and unknown for a number of years. But let's go look at, I think, of course, this is not common sense. This is about an agenda.
sure. Oh, yeah. No, there's no question about it. I mean, you have a lot of immoral folks in the medical establishment who know that doing this procedure is going to result in a lifetime stream of income because these people are going to constantly need new treatments and new fixes and new repairs. And so let's face it, it's a business decision. It's sick. These people are ignoring the Hippocratic Oath by doing this, but that's one of the reasons they're doing it. Um, and it's just this is why it's so important to have a moral people. A constitutional republic cannot survive an immoral people because this is the kind of thing that'll be done. Common sense will tell you not to do this stuff, and there's no way to know long term with the studies what the ramifications are of doing this stuff because they've never done it before. So they're basically these kids are guinea pigs. Of course, common sense will tell you not to chop off the body parts of kids, but you have no studies of that. And historically, we used to know that you don't do studies on women of childbearing age or people who are minors because they don't. You just don't do that. But here we are.
Yeah, here we are, and I'm just glad that our senators are standing in the way of this type of legislation passing in Oregon. This is why every vote counts.
Mhm.
Every vote counts because we have to win more seats. We have to take the majority in this state so that this type of thing can just get shut down. Because I guarantee you, even after this session and it getting stopped, um, it will be back.
Oh no, they'll never stop.
They
Literally
they
lives.
won't, and that's why we have to truly fight for our state
Mhm.
and and vote. So also, I just posted a story there that the House has passed a flurry of bills, while the Senate has stalled. Actually, for today would be the 21st day,
Mhm.
and so the House is doing what they need to do. And so that when the senators come in, the senators have said they will return to the Capitol on June 25th,
Mhm.
the final day the legislature can meet under the constitutionally set deadline. And when the Senate comes back, the leaders, Tim Knopp, has said they will return to pass lawful, substantially bipartisan budgets and bills to address the issues most important to Oregonians: homelessness, affordable housing, public safety, cost of living, job creation, and fully funded education. So, and they'll work through the night. I know they will, and they'll have to in order to do that. So, and this measure, this ballot measure, I don't remember. I think it was 113 that
Mhm.
passed. That says, they can't have. It was under Measure 113. Lawmakers can't have 10 or more unexcused absences. Well, I think that is actually unconstitutional. And so that they are not able to be reelected if they have 10 or more unexcused absences.
Yeah.
And because of this walkout, some are in their 21st day today. So that is fighting for our rights, and we have to fight for them. I sent my senator today a text and I said, keep it up, Bill. We like what you're doing, Senator
Right.
Hansel,
Keep fighting.
and encouraging him, and going to play out in the courts of Oregon for sure. The constitutionality of, they can't, just because of that ballot measure 113.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, when they're angry, you're doing something right. So.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you're over the target when they're angry, right?
That's it. When you're getting flack, you're over the target.
Yeah, yeah.
So true.
And so, we have to let them know that we're supporting them, and root them on, because they
Mhm.
need, they need that.
Mhm.
Now, no, ballot measure 113 was for all of them. It was all the legislatures. It wasn't just Republicans. It was, and some of our senators actually had excused absences for surgery or out of town visiting family or whatever. But the Senate leader says, "Oh no, no more. We're calling that back in. You don't have no excused absence
Mhm.
anymore." So I just posted another story that Representative Helfrich, he's saying, let's protect the kicker and fully fund the schools. And you know what? I'm all for that. Right now, it's looking like it could be a $3.9 billion kicker.
Okay.
And it could be as high, this article doesn't say it, but it could be 5.5 billion if the projections hold.
Mhm.
And you know what? The Oregonians, especially with the economy of what's going on and all of our inflation, the cost of living has gone up astronomically. You know what? These citizens of Oregon need this money back. It could help them tremendously.
Yeah.
And as far as fully funding the schools, well, the schools would like to have 10.4 billion, and the governor's and budget has only asked for 9.9, and the legislative leaders have offered 10.1. Well, and then the last line says it's time to give our students and teachers what they need. I don't know that they truly need that much money, quite frankly.
What they need is a decent curriculum.
Yes, yes, that is what they need. That
Yeah.
is what they need.
Now that people have been fleeing the schools, like the plague, and the population in the cities or population of the states down. So why do they need more money? I don't know.
No, we need the money to follow the student
Yeah,
and school
that's
choice.
that's what
That's
we
what we
need.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, the teachers' unions are not about that.
No.
So, we talked about lawlessness in Portland. Well, here it is. A teen was caught at 176 miles an hour. Teens shut down Interstate 5 to be drag racing.
I'm impressed they caught him, actually.
Well, you know what? You can't outrun the radios.
No, exactly. Because this racing in Portland has been going on for a long time. I've been hearing about it for the last couple of years. Then I witnessed it with my own eyes, probably 3 or 4 times over the last year. I don't go over there very much, so for me to see that 3 or 4 times is pretty impressive. They weren't going 170, but I would say they were going about 100. 100 miles an hour through a city is pretty crazy. And I'm not talking about the middle of the night either. I'm talking about during not rush hour, because you can't move in Portland during rush
Right, right. They can't do it during rush
hour.
hour.
They can't do it, but yeah, but there's plenty of traffic around,
Yeah.
and it's really weird to have and then dodging in and out of traffic, and there's no cops to be seen. And I tell you, I've driven all over Portland, and you almost never see a police officer. By the way, you might see airport if you're going to the airport, you'll still see the airport police, right?
Right.
But I have not seen, like in Vancouver, you see cops all the time. You see people getting tickets. You never see anybody get ticketed in Portland anymore.
So apparently this was on May 17th
Mhm.
at 12:32 in the morning. And the Washington County Sheriff Office deputy was conducting speed enforcement on Interstate 5 near Highway 217. He saw and heard a vehicle, a BMW,
Mhm.
traveling south on Interstate 5. And he said he later learned the vehicle was going 176 miles an hour. And at one point, he looked at his speedometer, this sheriff, okay, he was going 183 miles an hour.
And I know that stretch. I mean, that's a stretch where there's a lot of interchanges. Now, granted, that time of night you won't have much traffic, but still, I mean, that's I can't imagine doing that there. I mean, right? If
Right.
you're going to do that, you do that south of Salem, right? Perhaps.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And so I misspoke. It was not the sheriff, it was the kid, 19-year-old Milo Schneider.
Oh, he said I was going actually
He
180.
said he was looking down at his speedometer, and at one point it was going 183.
Oh, I'm glad
And
he's taking pride in his work.
yes. Oh, you only caught me doing 176. Actually, I went more than that. I want all the kudos, right?
Unbelievable. Exactly.
And so it started in 2020 with Portland defunded their police. And then in 2021, they stopped and reduced enforcing of minor traffic violations. This is the lawlessness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and probably the reason that he clocked him was you said he was in Washington County.
Yeah.
Because in Multnomah County, there's no traffic cops. I mean, I was reading they only have one traffic cop in Multnomah County. That's been 5 or 6 months ago. Maybe
Wow.
it's one traffic cop for the most densely populated county in the state. Let's put it that way.
Wow. Wow. Well, this next story I really like because it's the insanity rap from PJ Media.
Mhm.
The trans movement hits the toilet in Oregon. And what it is in a school, boys will be boys. And apparently at a school, they just in the boys' room bathroom, they just keep ripping off. In Oregon in 2021, they passed the Menstrual Dignity Act. And so they installed these tampon dispensers in the boys' bathroom. Well, they just keep ripping it off the wall and putting it in the toilet. You know what? Kudos to those boys, quite frankly, because boys don't menstruate. Never have and never will.
You cannot make this up. You can't. You just can't.
No, you can't. And I thought that's a good story to just to bring the captive audience on Wackadoodle Wednesday.
Yeah, I honestly am speechless. I can't think of anything that I could say on the air that wouldn't get me kicked off. I can't.
Right?
My filter's on high alert right now.
Yeah. Okay, well, we do have another, what I think is a good news, couple of more good news stories. We always try to end on some, good news things. And so the first ever COVID vaccine lawsuit in the U.S.
Yes.
names key Biden administration members as defendants. I'm very glad.
I had not heard that. Yeah.
And so this is out of PJ Media
Hmm.
today. Ben Barty has written this story. And, the ACLU used to really, in the beginning, they fought for our civil liberties, right? Not anymore. Well, there's the new Civil Liberties Alliance, the NCLA, which describes itself as nonpartisan, nonprofit civil rights group, has filed the nation's first ever lawsuit related to COVID-19 vaccine damage.
That's all. We knew it had to happen.
So we did, I did, you did, many of our viewers did, and so there we are. I'm glad that's happening. We're gonna, stay tuned. We'll learn more, and then I have another one. One more here, and I thought this was very good news. Right, about darn time there. Yep, Lori. Um, this is from Red State. Adam Schiff faces a $16 million fine for spreading the Russia collusion hoax. Frankly, I want to see him in matching bracelets.
Lori can say about time again.
Yes, exactly. Right, right.
That's another
And
one.
yes, absolutely. So, Representative Anna Paulina Luna out of Florida has introduced a resolution to fine Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff $16 million for his claims that former President Trump colluded with Russia in the 2016 election. This is about half the money of what was spent on the investigation.
Mhm.
It needs to be double that and matching bracelets for
Yeah.
Adam Schiff.
Well, he needs to pay for the cost of what he did. I mean, pay the taxpayers
Yeah.
back. He's wasting all that money for one thing.
Yeah. So I just thought, that would be a good piece of news. We need to have some good news. Now, I
But
do have one other thing that I think is not necessarily good news, but it is reality. And we face reality. We talk about truth here on Captive Audience. And this last story is from Oregon Catalyst, and this was came out on Tuesday. And it says, when enviros kill an organ factory, it reappears in China. And I don't, this is so true that this, oh my gosh, the green, everything green and the carbon laws and for manufacturing and all of that. When you kill it one place, it just shows up somewhere else. And so in there is a picture of the Oregon's Columbia Steel. It's
mhm,
closing, and they have cited taxes and environmental rules as the key reasons.
mhm,
This is 200, excuse me, and 2020, 220 jobs and customers will likely be picked up by Asia, which has cheap labor and lower environmental standards for the very same plant.
mhm.
And one study showed how super strict carbon laws move manufacturing jobs out of the state while coincidentally see the rise of the same jobs in neighboring states or other countries that have less environmental laws. So
That's the
you're not fixing anything, you're just kicking the can, moving the problem to somewhere else.
And the people at the top, Sonny, know this. It's all strategic. The objective is to strengthen other countries and weaken this one.
Yeah,
Destroy the working class who would have those jobs.
right.
That's what they're doing. The environment, they could care one less of a whit about the environment. The idiots running around thinking that they're helping the environment. Just think of the court jester with a little hat dancing around the street, because that's what they are. They're
Yep.
dumb as a box of rocks, because it's not about the environment.
So, that's there's some food for thought, a little bit of education, a little bit of what's going on, and things within our Oregon Republican Party. We need to be, and our irony is here you have Solomon Yu, who is a a friend of the Trump family that is working hard to bring President Trump to Oregon, which the conservatives would love, right? I know I would. I would go see him in a minute.
That's why he's
I
being
was working on trying to get him here,
yeah.
with Solomon. And then you have a group of people who I think want to hurt our party, truthfully, are going after him. And that's not acceptable.
That's the primary reason they're going after him, no doubt.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well,
So, hey, everybody, have a great evening. I'm going to go have dinner with my family. I'm down here in Southern California visiting some family. And I'll be back on Friday. And Don, it's wonderful seeing you. Thank you so much.
well, I hope you have a safe trip back from the People's Republic of California.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's crazy down here. It's crazy down here.
Yeah,
And
did you
and
bring
Bobby, well, I will let Solomon know. I see your message there. And so, hey, thank you, everybody. Spread the message, spread us all around, and thank you for watching.
Good night, everybody.